So this is 7:06 p.m. on Monday, May 22nd, and it is the meeting of the Westwood Recreation Commission, and it is being recorded for future playback. So calling the meeting to order. Public comment. We did have a member of the public call in, but there was a technical issue and we accidentally disconnected her. So maybe she'll be back and we can revisit that piece of the agenda. So consent agenda is the next item. Does anyone want to remove anything under the consent portion of this agenda?
Nope.
Okay.
And before we proceed, can I please ask someone to take notes where,
Oh, yeah.
thank you, Katie, you're a trooper, appreciate it.
She already
months in a
volunteered with
row,
the hand signal,
appreciate
yeah. Yeah, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone second it?
I'll second it. Either.
I think that was Joyce who spoke first, yes?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go around for roll call for in favor. I'm in favor. Joyce, are you in favor?
Yes, I am.
And Teresa, are you in favor?
Yes, I am.
Katie, you in
Yeah.
favor?
Yes.
Paul, are you in favor?
Yes.
Mitch, are you in favor?
Yes.
And Rich, are you in favor?
I don't need to.
Oh,
vote.
you don't vote. I can't, sorry. All right,
Only,
so there's,
only to make a quorum would I vote, otherwise I don't. vote.
right. That's why I'm confused. So no, everyone's in favor, no opposed, so the consent agenda is passed. Now approval of the minutes from April 27th, the last meeting. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes before we vote? No? Okay. Could I have someone make a motion to approve the minutes from April 27th?
Make a
Katie?
motion.
Thank you. And will someone second it?
A second.
Mitch, thank you. So I am in favor. Joyce, are you in favor?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Teresa, are you in favor?
Sam.
Katie, you in favor?
Yes.
Paul, are you in favor?
I am in favor. Yes.
And Mitch, are you in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes.
All right, so the minutes are approved. So monthly report from April 2022, Mitch. I mean, sorry, Rich.
I
Actually,
can
do we
talk
want
about it if you want.
to? All right, so hold on, let me pull this up. My paper,
And that starts on page 4 of the agenda.
yes, page 4.
That looks like a wine bottle, Katie.
Everyone says that. It's just water, I swear.
Yeah, I know.
New rules on the rec commission. All right, so I have a few highlights from the minutes. The first one in the staffing, we hired a camp behavioral support specialist for our summer programming this year. She will primarily be working within the camp, but if needed in some of our other programs, it's a shared resource. We work at the high school currently in the special ed program and will know many of the children that attend our programs, which is terrific. So we're very excited about this. This is something that I've been working towards for a while now, probably well over a year, trying to incorporate resources into our department that can help with neurodiverse children, behavioral issues, and the like. And as you've heard me talk about in the past, we have specific programs that utilize these type of resources. Secondly, we have also hired a BCBA, the same BCBA that helped us with some of our inclusive programming earlier, within the past year, who will provide behavioral training for the entire summer staff and additional training to all the senior staff and full-time staff. So I think that this is a great addition to our programming. It will enhance the experience for all the campers, as well as for the counselors themselves. So because they'll have more tools to do their job more effectively, being able to handle the children throughout the summer months. I was actually in a meeting today with other departments within the town, what we call the Human Services Group, and the Director of Youth and Family Services was talking about the amount of children that they are currently servicing, and it's greater than in years past, primarily because we're seeing this wave of post-COVID like issues that and we saw the same thing in our programming as well. So I think that this is a really good initiative to help with our programming this summer from everybody's perspective. And my hope is that we'll be able to use this to support the concept of future resources within the department to build out programming for neurodiverse programming, other type of disabilities as well. So we should get a lot out of this, these hires this summer. So one other thing that we did this recently this spring, and this was initiative by Carrie Francis. She's created a women's basketball league, and she's very excited about this. She had her first session last week, and they're working out the format, and they'll have their second program this week. And our hope is that this is something that will be sustainable going forward. So she's got, I believe, and Sue, you might know better than me, I think she has at least 25, if not 30 women that have expressed interest in participating, which is terrific for the first go around.
That's correct, Rich. And I did stop by just to see how it was an open court. Basically, there were a lot of women there and they were having a blast. It's gonna take off. It's a great program. Yeah, she did a good job with that. Yes.
And another new addition to our programming, which will come up this fall, but we're working on it now because registration requires it, is a field hockey, joining a field hockey league that is intertown recreational league. And we were approached, I want to say a year or two ago, by a mom who was very interested in field hockey and asked us to start running programming for the young kids, which we did, and it's been very successful. And now this is the next progression of that effort. This is being led by Joe Bertoni, and we believe we have enough interest to field 2 of the 3 age groups, and the remaining the youngest group will continue with our programming on Sunday afternoon. So that's also very exciting, something that we've never done anything like that, at least in the dryland. Of course, we have the swim team that we do, intra-town. But this will be the first time we do something like this, or at least the first time in a long time, where we'll actually have travel teams going to, I don't know, there's at least 15 or 20 different towns that participate.
That's great.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty exciting. And again, I'll give kudos to Joe. This is something that he has been cultivating from the very beginning with this one interested mom. Now we have a lot of volunteers, and we're going to be hiring staff to support it, part-time staff, of course.
So,
And-
Rich, I'm sorry.
Go
No,
ahead, Paul.
I wanted to go back to something. Go ahead and finish. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was pretty much it.
Okay,
ahead.
so I'm curious, this is a question for Sue. So you went up there and checked out the, was it like, is there any recreation representation there? Like, we're not helping with any setup or any like referees or any of that stuff on the courts or anything like that for the women's league? Is that what you were
No.
talking?
So the women's league, we are running it. We are hiring referees. We will set up the clock. We will run the clock, keep
Wow,
the
okay, that's great.
book. So the open court was just to get a feel for response. How interested was the general public? And actually, we did a lot of reaching out, and she was a little concerned. I was so happy for her that she had a great turnout.
That's
And
great.
a lot of levels. She has some women on there that played collegiate basketball, as well as high school level, but didn't qualify for collegiate. So that's what so it's not totally overwhelming, but the
Oh, good.
response was fabulous.
That's great.
And how
What's the-
old are the, oh, go ahead.
So say, what's the minimum age?
Same question.
It's adult, so the minimum age is 18. You have to be 18 years or older. I want to say there were probably people there because she did take registration that there were women in their 40s as well as, 20s, 30s, 40s. I don't believe we had anybody in their 50s.
Great.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. It was incredible. I was so happy for her that she had a great turnout.
Yeah, I'm glad that people are interested. Yeah.
They really are.
So those were the highlights from the monthly report. I don't know if anybody had any questions about any of the other bullet points that I didn't touch on.
Richard,
Of
I have
course.
sorry.
But
I
go
have-
right ahead, Teresa.
I have a question about the field hockey. My daughter loved it. It was run so well. But I know last year it filled up really quick because of numbers that were allowed. And we also supplied equipment. So they had the balls, the sticks, like everything the girls need except for the goalie attire. I think that was partially due because of COVID. And not sure what restrictions were because the pads are tied to your body. Going forward, are girls going to be required to have their own equipment?
I don't know if we've worked out all of those things definitively, but we do have equipment. If people have their own equipment, of course, they can use them. The one thing that we are looking into acquiring are the goalie gear, especially because it's very expensive and very specialized. And one of the things I've asked Joe to do is reach out to families that may have purchased it in the past and it's now sitting in a garage, or maybe go to a play it again sports kind of situation, because it's not, from what I understand, it can be quite expensive. But we will be investing in that. So we'll be able to field goalies, because a lot of families might not at let's say a 5th or a 6th grade level want to purchase that gear.
And is there going to be a cap? So I know like last year, I feel like it filled up in seconds. And there were people who wanted to play who couldn't play. I'm like, get up earlier. So,
well, yeah, with registration. So of course, it's always one of the biggest challenges we have is getting enough coaches. And we will always create as much space as we can based on our ability to get coaches, whether it be hired or volunteers. All right. And so that'll be dependent on our ability to get the appropriate number of coaching, because we want to do everything in a controlled, safe manner.
awesome. Thank you.
So is the plan then, to, knowing that there was extra demand last year, try to get more classes this year?
Always. Yep, absolutely. And we're going to be in the next 3 or 4 weeks doing everything we can to get the equipment, and or not necessarily purchase it, but at least get an understanding of what it's going to require financially, and get the registrations, because we have to join the league late June, early July. So we need to formulate the teams now. In fact, we have a weekly programming meeting that's attended by Sue, myself, Joe, and Kerry and Holly as well sometimes. And we spent a good amount of time talking about that today, just the steps required to pull this off. So go ahead, Katie.
You guys already have your coaches for this year?
We have commitment from a couple of coaches, as well as the woman who will run the youngest age group as the program has been run over the past couple of years. So we have commitment that we will need others though, as we always do, but we have the main anchors for the program.
And do you think that's more than you had last year, or is it the same amount?
Well, it's going to be run differently this year, so I don't fully know the answer to that question. So we're going to need for the littles, we're going to need more volunteers, as we always do, and we'll work on that. We'll have to get commitments from some of the parents that did it before, but it's one of those kind of programs where the parents go and stay, and so it's not we didn't necessarily have difficulties with the for the number of staff that we had, for the number of participants.
Anything else on that, on the monthly report? All right, so the next item is commission member reports, and can we jump over A and just get to B first?
I was going to
which
make the same suggestion.
Yeah. We probably should have done it at the very beginning of the meeting, but Teresa, I think all of you know Teresa has been appointed a member of the Recreation Commission. So welcome. We're so happy that you can join us. So yay.
Yeah, it's official. You've been sworn in and everything, so you're an official voting member, right, Teresa?
Yes, I was quarried, sworn in, and I did the ethics class, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, geez, you did everything.
Yeah.
So, and this means because Teresa filled the open position that we had, that Joyce and Sheila can re-up, correct?
Assuming, and I haven't talked to Tish in about 3 or 4 weeks on the matter, but is assuming that no one else applies between now and June, and I haven't received word that anyone has yet, then yes, they would be able to request to be reinstated for another term.
We're only a week away, week and a couple days away from June, so.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and the same thing with Elizabeth, because her associate membership is expiring too as well.
That's correct.
Yeah, but we have
But
lots
there-
of associate positions. Hers wasn't.
Our
Oh, was she?
bylaws allow for 7 associate members, I believe, and we only have 1. So if
Was her term up?
Yes.
Oh, it was, okay. I didn't
Yeah.
remember.
Well, it'll be up in June, on June 30th.
Oh, it's June 30th, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So the next agenda item, commission leadership, that makes it interesting since we don't know. I mean, Joyce is the vice chair and Sheila is the secretary. And I'm stepping down as chair. So we have 3 potentially open positions?
well, yes. What exactly?
Because we don't know if
Well, I will
you guys
find
will be
out.
able
I
to
will talk
continue.
to-
Like, I feel like we should know now if no one's come forward. We should
Right,
be
no
able,
one-
they should be up to,
No one has approached me about expressing interest.
yeah.
I will reach out to Tish this week to see. Typically, when she gets a request, she sends it to me right away. But I'll
Right.
reach out to see, and assuming that we haven't, I'll find out exactly how late do we need to wait before they can request reinstatement. But as you point out, Ann, we're a week or 2 away from that date at the worst. So
Right. It can't be June 30th. It has to be before
No.
we vote,
right.
you know, leadership in June. Yeah.
Right, so it would be before next meeting, and I'll communicate with Joyce, with Sheila. I'll include
Okay.
you, and on that communication with, with Tish, so that we can get that process going.
So then with respect to commission leadership, we have to vote next meeting.
Right.
And so is this when we decide if we're just going to make the positions rotating? Or if we're going to continue to have like people either nominate someone or have someone come put their name forth for the different board for the different positions, or?
Well,
we
I
don't
think it can be either or. If it does, I guess the question is, does anybody want to, at the current time, volunteer or, express interest? If not, then I would perhaps recommend discussion about whether or not you want to, implement a rotating schedule on an annual basis. It just automatically rotates. And if you do that, you'll need to decide the order. So in either discussion, we're going to have to decide who wants to be up first.
Right,
a
and then
minimum.
another thought would be like, maybe you rotate through, the vice chair, the secretary, the chair, like they all
Mhm.
rotate through, so you do 3 of them, one after the other,
Mhm.
potentially.
But isn't our role on the commission only a 2-year commitment? To then have to go back to the select board and
Right,
rotated.
yeah, so it makes it challenging. Is it 2 years or 3 years? I think it's 2. We can do
You see,
2,
I
we can do
always
3
mix this
2-year
up.
terms.
It's 3 2-year terms or 2 3-year terms. I can't remember. I think it's 3 2-year terms.
I think it is too. I know it's totaling 6 years, so yeah, that might be hard to do that, to cycle through all of them, I guess.
I'm just looking it up just to be, I don't know why I can't remember this, but I get it backwards every time I say
And
it.
their name could come up on the rotation with just one, regardless of what it is. Someone's name could come up with just 1 year left. And then I guess you just would have to know that, well, I guess we would have to set rules for that. Either the new person coming on takes that slot, or just like this. So the select board rotate the chair every year. It's a different person. And so someone could come on and immediately be chair.
I mean, you can do it however you want, but I would say that probably wouldn't be the best model.
No, I mean, but that's probably the model they use. I'm guessing.
And they're 3 years, right? So if they're 3 years, it's a lot easier for them to do that.
They have 2 positions. They have chair and secretary, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, we have 1, 2, we have 4.
Yeah.
Or do we? No, we only have 3. I'm sorry.
We have 3 positions. Yeah.
Chair,
3
vice chair, and secretary.
That's right.
Well, I mean, do the people in the positions want to continue for another year? Does anyone want to step up to be nominated to run for chair? Those 2 questions. We don't have Sheila here today, so we could reach out to her separately.
So Anne, may I interrupt for just 1 second? So the commission shall consist of 7 members appointed by the selectmen to serve 3-year overlapping terms. Each member may serve 2 terms.
Yeah, okay.
So it's 2 3-year terms.
But still, with a committee bigger than 3, you could join and not have a position for 2 years of your term potentially.
I think that would be a topic of discussion following. I don't think we have enough time to determine that. I don't know if we want to go into changing it. I mean, I'm all for it if somebody wants to do that, but putting together a concise plan about how we want that to progress. It's like, the last one in, let's just say, Teresa, you would not be eligible. I'm just throwing this out. You would not be eligible until the other, you just keep moving up the ladder. Someone first you become secretary, then you become vice chair, and then you become chair, and then you go to the bottom of the pile again, and then everybody keeps rotating that way. Based on
Except with 3-year terms, someone might never. Or if you're on the committee for 10 years,
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, there's a
Well,
lot
I
of
guess-
alternatives. So
I guess, does anyone want to put their name forward as chair?
that's the question.
There's an
Good.
absence.
So been there, done that.
Yep.
You're really
Then-
selling it.
I know,
What's that?
listen.
You're selling it.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I just didn't have the time.
It is a lot of work.
Oh, what
but
about Paul? What about you? You've been here. You're a veteran. Why
something wrong-
not take a
something-
swing at it? I mean,
something
you'd be up
wrong.
in senior, well, or Joyce or Sheila, you're all senior.
yeah.
Either one of you three would probably be the, since you've been here the longest,
Yeah.
not that Teresa or Katie can't do it, but since you've been here the longest, one of you three seemed like the logical candidate.
Do we
Yeah.
nominate Sheila in absentia?
Just to throw you all under the bus. Okay, what do you three?
I have my thoughts, but in any event, I'm not ready for that.
It's really not that much effort. You could do it for sure.
I know somebody could do it, but we'll figure it out.
Well, we don't, I mean, so the vote is in June.
Right.
So that is in a few weeks. So we're gonna have to just pull a name out of a hat if we don't, if
Yep.
nobody.
I think
Could be
so.
Random draw.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody, so if everybody feels like they want to keep it, they don't want to announce anything or that they don't want to do it, then maybe they can have a conversation with Rich, or they could,
They, meaning every
Whoever-
person who's
whoever the
not
person-
currently chair.
well, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in doing it, I mean, Rich, I mean, we're supposed to submit it to Rich anyways. Have that conversation with Rich.
But we said that last time and nobody had a conversation with Rich.
Well,
So I think we're at the point where
but-
we have to just pick
Yeah.
somebody.
well, I think the fact was, I thought we had 2 months. I think we had 2 months. So we still have plenty of time. We still have next month. We still have a few weeks.
Well, that's when we're voting next month.
Yeah, so when are we voting next month?
the meeting.
Whenever the next meeting is.
Yeah, which we
you know,
haven't
fast
decided yet.
forward.
Yeah.
June 20th is tentative.
Okay, great. So if we don't hear anything by June 10th, we have an emergency meeting or something.
And what about secretary and vice chair?
Same thing.
So,
Maybe the vice chair, Joyce may want to continue as vice
so
chair.
Joyce and Sheila need to determine whether they want to continue or they want to move to put their name forward for a different opinion, a position.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to take one of the other positions for a year. I just want to step down as chair. I've done it for 3 years. I think it's someone else's turn at this point.
Okay.
So we'll see. Well, might have to nominate somebody. One of the tenured people, as Mitch says.
When
right.
is it? June 20th?
That's the next
Uh,
proposed date for a meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We'll
and you
get-
and you have to be in attendance to be elected.
is that in the bylaws?
I don't remember seeing that, if I'm being honest, but
Yeah, I think we could elect somebody who's not in attendance. We could put that in the
But-
minutes.
Whoever misses the meeting is the president.
Like that.
oh my goodness, this is,
Yep,
All right.
that's one way of doing it.
I think we've beaten this topic. We should
All right.
probably.
Okay. So contact Rich with your interest.
Should we
Yes.
contact Rich with our recommendations, maybe? Like if each board member said, we have these,
Absolutely.
That's
We-
a great idea. That's a great idea.
I mean, there's so many of us and we all obviously have an opinion. What if each of us had to email Rich by the 10th of June, which is a Friday, and say, Rich, here are the X members, Rich saying to us, here are the members who are available for a position, here are the 3 positions, and then put them in order. I think this person should be chair, co-chair, secretary, and then just shoot that out, wrap it up, and then he'll just say, this is who got like the most votes. I mean, this is who got the most write-ins.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of awkward putting each other on the spot or being kind of like, oh, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of secretary.
At
Like,
least-
that scare me to death.
Uh,
Can we do that? Would that be a public record though, Rich? If email chain like that? So it may not
well,
be confidential.
You couldn't do it with all of us on it. You'd have to email Rich separately.
That's
yeah, I would have to check with Dottie on that as well, because if, I don't think that I could have an email with each of you separately, even though it's individually, it's still, you know,
Just with nominations for,
You know, it's not necessarily a conversation.
right?
Right.
yeah, we're not, it wouldn't be voting, it would just be putting names forward.
It's a one-way communication, but it's not a conversation, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. Oh, yeah, let us know, Rich.
Well, yeah, well, I guess that would constitute the same thing as putting ideas on for the agenda, you
Yeah,
know. who-
Right.
that's a good way of thinking of it, about it.
Yeah,
Perfect. So let's follow up on what Teresa outlined. So each commission member will submit an email with the subject line commission recommendations on the subject. So Rich can find them all nice and easy. Commission recommendations for, and then you can put it for chair, vice chair, and secretary. And then it would be nice if so Joyce, are you still interested in maintaining the vice chair position?
I hadn't thought about that.
Or
Okay.
chair.
Okay. So there we go. So we'll just, the chair, vice chair, and secretary, and just forward it on to Rich.
sounds good.
Okay, director staff reports. For the fishing derby event update.
Yeah, so I unfortunately had to bow out because I was having a health issue that morning, and Sue very
Oh.
graciously, just despite the fact that she's works her tail off and is always at the office, she very graciously agreed to take my spot. And so rather than me try to recount what I've been told, why don't we ask Sue to tell us what the day was like? And I wish I could share the picture that she sent me because it was hilarious how windy it was.
Oh, no.
Despite the weather, which it was 50 degrees with a wind chill of about 35. We had about 40 children and 11 adults that officially entered. Certainly there were a lot of children there with adults who did not enter. The adults paid 10, the children were for free. We had our worms and we had lots of catches and lots of fun. A lot of serious fisher people out there, men and women, young children, boys and girls. A lot of repeats from years past. So despite the weather, I thought we had a great turnout. The spirits were good. The only thing, it was a little chilly. It started promptly at 7 a.m. and ended at 11 a.m. And we did the recognition of the largest fish and then the children got little giveaway types of things for participating, and the adults got the cash prize. It was a lot of fun.
What was the biggest fish?
2 pounds, 4 ounces.
That's good. That's a keeper.
Oh,
Pretty good
yeah,
fish.
yeah. It was a good sized fish, and it was caught very early in the morning.
Oh,
Yes.
So does Jim Cain still help with that? Remember Jim? I remember Jim used to help years ago.
No, so we have not had sponsorship or help for the last couple of years on this event. It would be nice. I think it would be nice to try to get one of the local clubs
The
to make.
sports clubs, yeah. Because remember Jim
Yeah.
was part of the sportsman club down at the end of, I think it's Oak Street there.
Right.
Can't think of the
so,
name of
yeah.
it.
Right. So no, but even without them, it was still, the people that come every year were there. It's changed over the years because of Board of Health regulations in COVID. We didn't sell any food this year or anything of that nature, though it was so cold this year. I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a little fire pit and roast some
Mhm.
marshmallows?
You cook up the fish, right?
Yeah. So
The
it was
pictures,
good.
the pictures on Instagram were great. They were really fun to watch.
Yeah, they were. I give credit to Joe. He was taking the pictures and sending them right along, And yeah, the kids were having a blast. It's funny how the cold weather didn't bother the kids at all. Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it was good. Good.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Winter stats.
All right, so in your packet, pages 5, 6, 7, and 8 are the stats reports. So so the highlights, we had a little over just about, or I should say just a little under 1,100 patrons registrations in the winter, which is really good for the winter. That's our slowest season. And about 170,000 in revenue, which again is very strong. And then when you add on top of that, we had 2,500 lap swims and a total of about 8,000 in pool membership. So participation wise, financially, it was a very successful season for us, which continues the trend of just coming out of COVID and, you know, families' willingness and desire to participate in our programming, which is terrific. And that's highlighted on pages 5 and 6. And then on page 7 and 8 are the year-to-date numbers. So this would start with our summer programming last summer and go through the end of March. And you can see there that there's, you know, 6,600 patrons on dry land, another 8,000 lap swims, and total revenue for all departments of a little more than 1.1 million year to date. So again, extraordinary numbers. These are record numbers for us, which is terrific. So
This is page 7, you said?
Yeah,
page 7 is the year to date, yes. And year to date means the three, so it would be summer, fall, and winter combined.
So 2020, July of 2020 through December 2021, that looks like more than a year.
Well, so that the header is not updated properly. My apologies on
Oh,
that.
okay.
That should say fiscal 22, fiscal 2022.
And it should be
compared to
July of
2021.
2021 to December.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Okay.
problem with these spreadsheets, and it's been a pet peeve of mine since I started, is there are so many different places to update dates, and that
Oh, yeah, they should all be
spent a half
linked,
an
yeah.
hour updating them all, and I obviously missed one, so my apologies there. But this is for year, and I'll correct that and resend it along. It's for 3 quarters.
Okay.
Okay, so you know, very good news from a participation perspective, from a financial perspective. These numbers are indicative of you know, very strong support for our offerings.
Can I
No, we
ask
don't. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Just a clarifying question. In like on page 7, when I'm looking at the active, canceled, total offered, new, the active is not like currently active. Those are the ones that just ran. Correct?
That's what that means, Katie. Those are the programs that ran.
Got it.
Yep.
So is there no such thing as daily swim fees anymore? I see zeros in those rows. So is it just and maybe you've already said this and I apologize, Sue.
No, it's an astute point. So we have yet to reinstate daily swim since
Okay.
COVID. It was something that we discontinued because of COVID, and we've maintained the registered lap swim only. And I don't know, Sue or Holly, if you want to talk about what our future plans are, but until this time, we've maintained that registered only lap swims.
Yeah, I mean, Sue can speak to it too, but in talking to, you know, probably 90% of the patrons that swim religiously with us, you know, several times a week, they actually prefer it this way. They seem a lot more happy and comfortable when they get their times. They're not fighting for lanes. They're not circle swimming. It's at most 2 to a lane. They're not waiting to get in if they all show up at 9 o'clock to swim, or they all show up at 6:10 to swim. And I think they've kind of figured out where they're best fit to swim, where some of the slower times might be. And I know we've had a lot of families ask about family memberships. So the end of June, when we launch our summer schedule, we're actually going to do family swim 5 nights a week to, get the families back in. It'll be half lap swim and half family swim. And we'll still do pre-register just so we have enough staff on. But that's something too that we've been able to bring back. And I think registration right now is still the way to go. It seems to be, working, and people do seem to be happy with how it's working.
And so with a daily fee, you feel like you couldn't do a pre-registration because you'd be collecting like $5 online at a time or something like that. It just wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah, I think the option of them paying online, I don't know system wise, if it would be able to talk to like the spots we have allotted for, like, say we have 10 spots for the 9 o'clock time and 3 people do drop in. Does it take away the 3 spots from the pre-registered with the members, or does it still leave the 10 open? So now we have 13 registered.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think drop in wouldn't work with that. Yeah, you'd have to be able to collect the daily fee, I think, when you did the registration, which might be too complicated.
Yeah. And most people that call that we talk to seem to understand when we say it's reservations only, and they actually like the idea of having to only split with one other person.
Yeah.
Haven't really had any pushback on it.
Okay. Now is the month? It's a monthly membership, so it's not a huge commitment for anyone.
Minimum of a month.
Minimum
We have
monthly.
longer.
Right. They could do longer, but they're not forced into doing longer just to be able to get a reservation.
That's right.
No.
So Holly, are you seeing an increase in the memberships because of the daily stuff going away? Do you think that that's a factor? Or no?
It could be. I think our memberships are still holding pretty steady, if not starting to pick up a little bit. People are calling. I mean, Angela could speak to it a little bit better, but she typically answers the phone. But people were calling saying they didn't even know that the pool had reopened. So it's old members that were swimming saying, "Oh, it's I didn't know you guys reopened yet." I'm like, we've been open since 2020, so a lot of those people are coming back too. Yeah, so
barely
I think
closed.
it's maintaining. Getting some of those people who are with us a few years ago back, and some new families excited to come in for this summer to utilize the pool. And we've, I think 2 or 3 lap summers in the last couple of weeks have joined for a monthly, and I think a 3-month. So they're definitely trickling in pretty consistently.
Is it the type of thing where you want to advertise and get more? Or do you feel like you're handling the capacity pretty well now and you don't have a ton? I mean, because there's ways of like putting a sign, "Hey, we're open," right on the high school lawn, even if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely times that we could take more swimmers in. But we do see, depending on the day or the time, some of the early mornings before work are very popular, and we see wait lists for some of those times. And then you'll see people kind of reschedule their schedules, and then you'll see them come in at like a 12 o'clock time instead of 6:10 time that they're on the wait list for. They're pretty good about going on and looking. That's a nice part about the website, is you can really just log in and see the times. Be like, oh, there's 3 spots open at 10:10, or there's 4 spots open at the 1:10, and they just, they can register the day of if there's still spots open, which they don't have to call and find that out. It's not like it shuts off. If it's available, they can register. So it does give them a lot of flexibility with their schedule to find a spot.
One thing I think I should mention is my kids went to integrated pre-COVID, and I remember it was sometimes a conundrum trying to find parking because so many people were parking to go swim lanes. I have my youngest at integrated now, and it is such a massive difference in terms of like safety for the little kids, the amount of people using that parking lot. Like, this system works not, I think, well for the park and rec, but for the neighboring preschool, that has been a huge difference just in terms of children's safety and just how much volume is going on in that parking lot too. And I think that should be mentioned as well.
Good point.
I can tell you,
Okay.
just as an aside to your point, Teresa, that parking is always a challenge in the spring in our area, as more and more students get their driver's license as they reach whatever the age is, 16 or 16 and a half, and they start driving, and there's just not enough spots available, numbered spots in the student parking. And you know, as the nicer weather comes about, we have the tennis players that need to park in the parking lot closest to the building. You have the preschool as well as the pool patrons. There's a much more demand for parking than there is supply at this time of year. And as soon as the seniors are done in another, what is it, week or two, it all
Maybe
changes
this
back
week.
again. But throughout what, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know the exact date, but we start to see this as the spring comes about every single year. It's a pattern. It's typically not a problem in the fall or the winter, but as the spring happens, more and more people get their license, and then an increased demand and a fixed supply. That's, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the tennis ladies, they come to play because you see them get out of the car with their bag, and they have terrified me from ever picking up my racket again because they are so driven from start to finish.
I'll play with you, Teresa. I am not good. I would be terrified too.
I was like, oh, maybe I'll join again. And I saw them walking. I was like, oh, no, 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 no.
All right. So, and let me go back to the agenda. Anyone have any more questions on that winter stats? No.
Can
Okay.
I ask a budget question that I probably should have asked like 4 or 5 months ago? The rec department, does that stay internal or does that go back to the town?
What do you mean by that?
Like if you're saying that like in the winter you had 170 in revenue.
Yeah.
Where does that go back into the rec department to go towards like new programs, or does that go back to the town and then the town disperses that to other?
So all of our program proceeds go into the revolving fund, which is a recreation account. Of course, it's a town account. So all of the deposits are made and go to the treasurer and whatnot. So, but it is our budget for the town is salaries plus $15,000 or $16,000 only. Okay, and you would have seen that in the budget documents that I shared with you last fall. Okay, and then all of the operational expenses for our programs comes out of the revolving fund. All the revenue goes into the revolving fund, and all the expenses go out to the revolving fund. And then usually around December, we have revenue. I forget the word. We give back revenue to the town, about 332.
Remit?
Pardon me?
Is that the word, remit? Remit revenue back to the town?
We do, yeah. And that's not the word I'm looking for, but it works.
Sorry. Sorry.
Thank you.
now.
And so a big chunk of that revenue goes back to the town every December. And it literally leaves the revolving fund and goes into the town accounts. That's the simplest way to describe it, but that budget that you're asking about, Katie, is if you go back to your August, September packets, you'll see the budget in there.
I don't know if I have those ones.
They should be online, right?
Yeah, I can
Are
resend
the
it to
packets
you.
posted or just the minutes?
I think it's just the minutes, but I can give you, I can resend you the package that was given with that in there.
All right, so program updates, summer, next item.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a quick update where we are for our summer planning, because as you know, our summer programming is so important to the department and the town. And it's quickly approaching. We're pretty much a month, not even a month away from all of our all-hands staff training. So the planning continues. The senior staff is meeting with Joe and CJ. CJ, of course, is our camp director, and Joe Bertoni is the program manager. And depending on the roles and the circumstances, they're all, working anywhere from 1 or 2 hours a week to 5, 6 hours a week as they plan. We are purchasing the equipment and the supplies. Joe just submitted a ton of receipts for that, so that's underway. The training is all planned. As I alluded to earlier, we have some new training this year for the behavioral training. The 14th, 15th, and 16th are the dates where the bulk of the training for all staff will be happening. And our hiring is pretty much done at this point. We may have 1 or 2 role-specific items that we need to fill, but for the most part, all the hiring is done. So I would say, generally speaking, it is, we're in very good shape at this point going into the summer. And we just need to continue to plan and execute over the next month, but I think we're in a very good spot for that. So just wanted to let you know about that.
Great. Aquatics update. Holly?
Yeah. So I have a bunch of different bullet points here. April was my 6 months, so still kind of
All right.
learning everything. Every season is a new season for me. So summer is now on my radar to try to get through that. And then before I know it, I'll be back in fall and I'll be here a year. But just some stuff going on. First, staffing. Our aquatic specialist left back in the beginning of March. The position was posted immediately afterwards. Unfortunately, we've only had a handful of applications that have come in. The majority of these applications were for people who were home from college and thought it was summer employment, not full-time year-round employment. And some of them just kind of applied, I think, because it was a job and were not necessarily qualified for the position, which is unfortunate. And we've posted on our town website, MRPA, Indeed, Handshake, which is now where all the colleges go to, post their jobs. Sue has emailed aquatic staff, I believe, in the past 10 years, just trying to see who's around, who knows who, word of mouth through other, departments and all of our weekend rentals and some of our rugby and hockey rentals, who knows who. So it's been a little bit tough trying to fill this position. The bulk of this position is for swim team with some swim lesson teaching and some lifeguarding responsibilities after that. And then unfortunately, one of our part-time supervisors resigned. She's doing a different career path. So we have now been left with commitments that they had that are now unfilled, mainly the late night rentals that go till 10 o'clock and the Sunday rentals we have. So because of that, Sue, myself, and sometimes Brian have now been taking on the closing shifts and the weekend shifts, which makes a long day, a long night, and then getting back up the next morning and then, giving your weekends up after working a full week. So it's a little bit of a struggle here. Between the 40 hours and the 20 hours our part-time staff did, we're down about 60 hours for the 3 of us to fill. So been very busy in aquatics for us, but we're splitting it up, we're tackling it, we're trying to shift our shifts where we can, just to make sure everything is covered where it needs to be. And kind of going with that, we've been posting for lifeguards and swim instructors and those things. And at this time I've had one girl come in to apply for a lifeguard, which is very unfortunate. I've had kids who are 15 and 16 and not currently certified applied for like our deckhand positions. You can't legally work in the state of Mass until you're 16 as a lifeguard. So there's a lot of kids that get certified at 15 that unfortunately can't work for. We bring them as a deckhand position, which is great because they get to learn the ropes. And then when they turn 16, we can hopefully hire them. And to kind of combat this, we're hoping that if they aren't certified at this point and willing to get certified, that we'll basically train them in-house and pay for their certification at this point to work for us, just as a way to try to get people to come in. We have some college kids coming back home, which has started to help doing some coverage for us. Our lifeguard salary scale right now, this past January went up for 2022. It went up $2. So now we're at 17 for starting for a lifeguard. But our competitive surroundings, we have Lifetime. Lifetime, they may pay a little bit less, but they're offering free memberships for their staff. And now they're offering free memberships for the families of the staff.
Oh, so they
Yeah.
must be struggling too then.
Yeah, you know, the state, the DCR is offering anywhere from $21 to $25 an hour and has now posted $500 sign-on bonuses and $500, you know, end of season bonuses if you stay through the summer. You know, Dedham Country Day Camp has anywhere from $25 to $20. Goldfish in Norwood is anywhere from $16 to $18. The Y is paying up to $22. So, you know, there are other places out there that pay more, but they're paying more, I think, trying to entice people that have the certs to go to them versus other, you know, other locations. So we are definitely struggling with that. And I'm sure everybody's seen all over the news with the stories. A lot of the Cape beaches just said they're not even open this summer. You know, it's not just Massachusetts, but it's nationwide, unfortunately. There's definitely a lifeguard shortage and swim instructor shortage. And you know, there's a lot of pools and beaches out there where it's going to be a swim at your own risk just because there's unfortunately no staff. So we're definitely struggling with staffing, but I mean, hopefully something comes along. So we are doing the best we can there. So I guess
Are we going to have to, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say on a more positive note, I have some more fun things to talk about.
Hold that thought for a second, but
Yeah.
are we gonna have to cut back on hours? Like how long can the three of you be making up a 60-hour deficit? That's 20 hours each a week. That's 1.5 jobs.
Yeah. Right now we're doing it. I don't know. We're not going to take on any more, you know, weekend rental, any more night rental things. Nothing new. We're just kind of maintaining what we have right now. Nothing new at the moment.
Doesn't feel sustainable in the long term. Like you might have to make some tougher decisions.
I mean, we're hopeful that, you know, there's college graduates out there that are going to be looking for jobs that may have grown up being a lifeguard that will come and just say, you know what, maybe I want a coordinator or swim team coach that's out there that wants to become full-time, something like that. I mean, there's got to be somebody out there. Right. It's just trying to find them.
Even someone who's in college, but going like part-time or, you know, that could do the part-time role or.
Yeah. So if you can think of anybody or want to share it, it's definitely on the Town of Westwood website. The salary's there. You know, it's benefited, pension eligible, you know, it is full-time. So yeah, spread the word there if you can. It would be amazing to have another full-time staff person to come in and help us out.
Is it possible to sorry, Teresa, do you want to go?
No, you go first, Katie.
Is it possible to post these on like the Westwood Facebook pages? Is that?
I think Angela might have done the inside cover to the program guide. I think she did share that on some of the social media sites. We did post like all the job openings on the inside of our program guide for everybody to see. And I think Rich, did it go to the Wire? I want to say that page. Do you remember?
Yeah, so I don't know about the Wire, but we posted it to social media. It's in the brochure. I mean, it's literally in every posting site that job posting site that you can think of. Some you didn't even know about until recently, like Handshake. I never heard of that until about 2 months ago. So,
I'm wondering if like not using a technical like job searching platform might help, whether it's just like, I don't know, I don't want to think of like the Martha Jones family pages but like just like the different Westwood like moms groups and things like, I just wonder if those are places.
Westwood bulletin board. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that one.
Katie, so just to piggyback on what you were saying, because I had the same, almost similar idea. Have we reached out to like the Westwood Minute, the Westwood Wire, the Patch, Hometown Weekly, and asked them a story? Like, would you be willing to feature us as a story that where, you know, our pool is such a phenomenal asset, come work for us, like give them a spin of saying, instead of keep reaching out that we have a hiring deficit and we need to fill these slots because you guys are obviously overworked, do we ask them to spin it saying, hey, can you do a feature on us with the warmer weather coming of how amazing our program is and how we're hiring, and see what comes up if we talk about how epic we are, kind of.
Yeah, it's
Well,
an idea to do, for sure.
So Sue and I talked about that a week or two ago. We haven't executed on that idea yet, but yeah, that's we kicked around the almost identical to what you just said, Teresa.
'Cause I know Darlene Wong, who does, who runs the Westwood Minute,
Right.
is always asking about stories and wondering, does anybody have like any little inkling or a little piece they want to share about? So I just feel like this would be right up her alley. And she has sponsorship from like the temple in town and a bunch of other organizations who also reuse or repost some of her stuff.
So the pool's not open on the weekends, correct? I don't see it on here.
We have group lessons on Saturdays that run, but there's no like reservations for lap swim or open swim. And we
Okay.
do have a long-standing rental that's there on Sunday afternoons until their outdoor pool opens and they go outside.
And we have to staff that as well.
They pay it as a rental, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
But we
that
have to
was
be
part of-
there.
Yeah,
Like-
that was part of the part-time supervisor who had, said that they would be available on the weekends and has since resigned. So
Yeah.
they were committed dates with, fulfillment, and unfortunately, they should be, between 18 and 21 at this point. They do get keys to the facility, so they need to be responsible. They can't be a high school kid that goes to school getting keys. So we
Yeah.
really need to feel comfortable and confident in them opening the pool, closing the pool, responsible for the facility management if a full-time
Yeah.
staff isn't present there. It's a responsibility.
And Holly, have you considered, or are you doing this already for where you have alternating start times for your staff? Like for example, you have like you need someone there at 6 o'clock. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the schedule now as I'm talking, and you go all the way till 7. Like so, have someone starting from 6 and working, I don't know, till 2, and then have someone start at 9 and work until 7. Are you doing that now currently with your staff?
Yeah, so right now, Brian, who's the assistant manager, is pretty much 6 to 2, Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
And he works the lessons on Saturdays. So he has Friday, Sundays off. Right now I'm there typically 9 to 5:30, 9 to 6 every day.
Yeah.
Except for most recently, the Wednesday nights I'm there like 1:30 to 10. Thursdays I'm there like between 10:30 and 11 to 7:30 at night. So I mean, originally how it kind of worked was we had, Brian opening, myself kind of that midday coverage shift, and then we would have our swim team coach come in that 5 o'clock ballpark and be there to close the facility or stay through the rentals. So now like I've shifted. Sue's actually taking Monday nights to close. She'll go back tonight and close. She stays late, Tuesdays to close. I stay late Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, Sue and I are both there till 5 when lessons get done.
Yeah.
So we are kind of rotating where we can. Yeah.
Oh, so like what time? So I see that the pool on the schedule is closed at 7 o'clock tonight. Is that incorrect?
Our program for condition swim closes at 7, and we have a hockey rental and a rugby rental that go on till 10 o'clock. Same with Wednesdays.
Wow.
There's late night rentals.
Wow.
So
But those wouldn't be posted to the public because it's a rental, so people don't need, you couldn't join those, they paid to use the pool basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like this is the sort of day-to-day management of the department, which
Yeah.
I'm sure is well managed.
Right.
Just,
Sure.
we need to get,
And I would
just need to think about what happens if we can't get the staff.
Yeah, and I would offer that on our webpage, I'm looking at the pool information and schedule. I would offer that we should throw something on there because this
We're
is the
hiring?
first place. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it. You know what I mean? This is where people who swim, birds of a feather flock together. People who swim are going to probably know people who are, I don't know, lifeguards or whatever, or parents or kids or grandkids or whatever that are doing it. Because I know it's got to be hard because it's an investment for these kids to be certified. It's an investment. Because I remember, Sue, you helped when Derek and Julia go through the whole program, way
Mhm.
back when. So I know what an involvement that is, but
It's an expensive course for sure.
Yeah.
It's time consuming and like Sue and I were just talking about this. She was at Kohl's not that long ago, and Kohl's is hiring retail for like $19 an hour, and you don't have to be certified or
Mhm.
Stop and Shop. You can bag groceries for $18 an hour right now, and you don't have to be certified. And there's a lot less responsibility for those. Not that they're not
Yeah.
important jobs, but
My
so it's just
son was
kinda
making crazy
hard.
money at Walmart when he was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And his summer
Yeah.
job, he's getting paid a lot less than he could make if he went back to Walmart.
Yeah, yeah. And this, I mean, it
Yeah.
is, you have life-saving responsibilities as a lifeguard and,
Yeah.
a lot of responsibility instructing kids, for the swimming piece of it. So it's just figuring out where,
well, maybe
where
we
we're
have,
going to excite the new hopeful generation to come in and want to make this,
yeah,
special again.
don't
I
hold-
grew up in
yeah.
lifeguard and it was really popular then.
Don't hold
It's
your
not
breath, right?
now.
I mean, it's going to be tough,
Yeah.
but maybe and maybe, you might want to take another look at, the financials again, maybe we
Yeah.
need to pay more, I mean.
Yeah,
it's-
you said Dedham Country Day was paying 20 to 25, and that's what really made me like sit up and take notice, because that's where my son works, and he had to be certified. He's their full-time archery specialist in the summer, and he's certified, and he's not making close to that, and it's the same camp. So
Yeah.
they must be desperate as
Country
all hell
Day,
to pay
yes,
that
and-
kind of money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, said anywhere from $14.25 to $20 there. So it
Yeah.
must be if they're returning, or they're just a couple years experience and they'll pay it for you to come.
I think they must be desperate for lifeguards, because they will not pay counselors or other specialists that kind of money.
Yeah.
Unless
So-
they're, a full-time staff member at the school, they'll pay more. But like college kids, they will not.
Mhm.
So,
Well, thank you. That was very interesting.
Can I, do you mind if I just ask one more
Yeah, sure.
like lifeguard question?
Sure.
Is that, do you think the lack of our lifeguards is gonna affect the summer camp lesson, like people who signed up for lessons to the summer camp, or is that a different pool of people that were hired?
It's a combination of both. Like we have a lot of dual lifeguard and swim instructors. When we have a certain amount of registrations we're taking for camp lessons, and kind of based on that, we need to figure out where we're more heavily staffed, either in the morning between public and group lessons, or in the afternoon where we have more flexibility with staff. So Sue and I were talking about it earlier that, you've signed up for lessons, you're there for the day, but you're not necessarily picking that your kid's going in the morning. So the majority of the kids may be going in the afternoons rather than the morning where we have more staff. So that's like an internal thing we're trying to figure out there, but we should be able to accommodate the kids that are, enrolled right now with who we have thus far.
I think the short and the long of the answer, Katie, is that we will be providing excellent lessons to all those people that register this summer. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that will be between myself, Holly, and Brian. We will have enough instructors and lifeguards to manage this summer. That being said, it's going to be a lot of work.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
we are going to meet the demand.
Okay.
I have gray hair later, you know why?
Yeah.
But we'll get
Don't
there.
turn into a Barack Obama with his the way he turned gray.
I diet, so we're okay. We'll just diet.
So you're good
But,
news.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But like kind of like Katie, I kind of had a good segue there, kind of into like our group lessons and private lessons and camp lessons and those things. Just kind of like a programming, update was just this past session for spring. There's a huge wait list on Saturday mornings for lessons, and we were able to find instructor aides to go with our 2 instructors we had going through the morning. And instead of putting 10 in the parent-child, we opened it up to 18. The other classes, we opened up to 8 kids in the class instead of 6, because we had an aide to help the instructor. And then we were able to offer an additional 3 classes at the tail end of the day. And I think we got close to almost 60 people off the wait list by doing that into Saturday lessons. So, I mean, that was huge for us to be able to accommodate those participants. We're still, like I said, working on our instructor availability for our private lessons based on the pool schedule and who we have open, and trying to get through all of the participants that are, registered in the group lessons and then and the private lessons and who's on wait lists for that. So we've kind of come to the decision where we need to sort of halt wait lists at this point because they're going to get overwhelming with the popularity and demand, so that, we're not giving false hope to, families or individuals, including adults that have registered, that even though they're on the wait list, they may or may not be able to get in for that session. So we're going to kind of stop the wait list for that right now until we can get through hopefully all of the people who are on there with, the staff we have. And then we have condition swim that's wrapping up now. It's actually full right now for our 10 and unders for the summer on Mondays and Wednesdays, which is awesome. Our summer swim team is a little bit lower in past years, but we're trying to convince some of those kids who are in condition swim to swim for us competitively. We do think that they're ready, just seeing them the past month or two in our condition swim program. So we're still taking registrations for summer swim team. And we have Peyton, who is home from school, and she's been with the department for a few years now. She's pretty much stepped up to run summer swim team and be the head coach this summer, which is great. So that's a huge help for us there. They'll have meets twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And right now we're actually able to travel to other towns for meets, where this past year, most of our meets were virtual. So that's kind of exciting for the kids to be able to travel. And then we have, let's see here, Sue and I are actually participating in an aquatics leadership night. We're going to be speakers or panelists, I guess you could call it. It's going to be $10 to attend. There'll be pizza and refreshments. Weston is actually hosting it. It's going to be Wednesday, June 1st. I believe it's a 5:00 start, 5:30 start. Yeah. And some of the topics that are going to be covered are risk management, like new in-service ideas for your staff, basically being promoted. You're the boss. What's next? How do you stop being the friend? You're the boss now. Building a successful learn to swim program, setting up your lifeguards for success, talking about professionalism, teamwork, staff retention. We're hoping that, full-time staff, part-time staff, seasonal staff, anybody will come to this and hopefully learn from it and get excited about the field of aquatics when they know that they belong to like an important piece of everybody's puzzle within the rec departments. And hopefully it will keep them involved and informed and feel like they want to stay within aquatics and maybe keep growing, these staff to want to move into these full-time jobs instead of lose them to a retail job, let's say. So we're hoping that that's a success. I'm not sure what registration is like now. I can't see those numbers, but another thing Mass Parks and Rec is really trying to do to entice aquatic staff to stay involved. And then kind of lastly, just for pool maintenance, we ordered a new chlorinator. It's a much needed upgrade to what we have now, which is great. The pool deck retiling, we've blocked off the end of August through September. Hopefully we can get that completed there, and Sue's working there on that for the vendor piece of it. Our pool basement sump pumps are going to be looked at. We're trying to figure out if we can repair them or if we have to be replacing them. And then actually tomorrow, the Board of Health will be here to do our annual inspection. Every year we get the inspection to keep the pool open. So there's a lot going on, but it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. So
Well,
yeah, that's kind of have
some of
an
it
update. It's a
is
long-winded update,
really
but an
not so
update
good, but
nonetheless.
yeah.
That was an incredible
I
update.
think I covered everything.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that you've been able to keep the programming at this level
Yeah.
through the pandemic and beyond, and now through the staff shortage, and understanding that there's wait lists and there's some people who can't get the program that they want, but it sounds like you're doing
Kudos
above
to you.
and beyond.
Kudos to you
Yeah.
and Sue. That's great.
Sue works just as late as I do.
Yeah. Thank
He's
you.
a
Always has.
huge help. I would be crying if I did not have her.
I love it. Excellent.
Thanks, Holly.
Yeah.
All right, fields and facilities, pickleball and tennis courts.
All right, so I just, as you know, pickleball's been a perennial favorite on the agenda for a long time, and just wanted to give you an update from the last time. So Paul joined us, Sue and we met with an engineer and have received a quote for services to include a design and cost estimate. And assuming we make it past that stage, we would engage them in bid management and contractor selection, and then lastly, project management. And we received that quote, and I am now waiting to contractualize that. It's with our procurement department, and as soon as we can get that in a contract, I can get them out there and get the quotes, and we will move forward from there. I can tell you that the site that we're talking about is near the COA, which is a perfect spot, given that this is a sport that is heavily preferred by seniors, and so yeah, we're pretty excited about this. I really do believe this will move forward. You know, there's plenty of steps that need to take place, but we have a clear path at this point. So
Right.
just wanted to give you that quick update that progress has been made since the last meeting, and I expect we'll continue to see progress. I'll continue to give you updates of where we stand each meeting.
Can I just ask 2 clarifying questions? You said you received the quote, but then once you get the quote, you'll be able to move forward?
Well, I have the quote. It needs to be contractualized. So I can't just engage them on, given the numbers we're talking about, we need to get a contract and a purchase order created by the procurement department.
Okay.
But we think these are the people we're going with.
Well, right now it's just an engineer. And
So this is the quote to write up the proposal that goes out to bid?
correct. We got a quote
Okay.
to get a quote.
Got a quote to
If
get
you
a
will,
quote.
right?
Okay.
So they're going to give us a
Yep.
cost estimate. So they're experts at design, and they will tell us what they believe it will cost to do the project. From
Then
there,
we get budget.
we
Yeah.
use that for the budget, and then from there we go out to bid. Now it could come in higher or lower, but we have a ballpark to know what kind of money we're talking about, right? Now I have received a quote to do the Sheehan School location, which we received a few years ago, and it's been updated, refreshed every year. That was for 6 courts, and it involved demolition of the existing, old tennis courts and whatnot. And I think that the latest revision is like $250 for 6 courts. So I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't come in over that, because we're only going for 3 courts here.
So does that include like tearing up, putting down a new surface, fence and nets?
Yes.
And then do you put nets in between the courts, or you're just doing the playable nets?
It'll just be pickleball only, and they will be permanent pickleball nets there.
And that was the Sheehan, $250
Both.
for that.
Yeah, both
locations.
locations. So the concept is to have them dedicated pickleball courts with pickleball only nets, and the courts, of course, are much smaller than tennis courts, so you would never play tennis on these courts.
Right. Okay.
In
So
fact, it would probably be dangerous if you tried.
So we're estimating the cost for 2 locations?
No,
Sheehan and,
No, just the one. Sheehan is
Okay.
Sheehan. Again, just to reiterate what we've talked about, we can't look at Sheehan until
Right,
all
that's
the
what I thought.
schools are. So the point was, years ago, when we were trying to do something at Sheehan,
Yep.
we got a quote from a company that does this work. And we've been getting that quote refreshed every year because, of course, inflation and whatnot.
Mhm.
So
Supply chain cost
right.
of
So
materials,
but
yeah.
nevertheless, it is indicative of what we're going to be looking at in the new location too.
Okay. So new location,
Have I-
3 courts.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Rich, have I missed something? But do we know the new location? Have you announced that? Or are you still holding that close to the?
Right, it's near the COA. It's in between COA and Thurston.
Yeah,
So
Rich just said that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's public now.
Well, it will be when you put it in the minutes, I guess.
Yeah,
Because the only reason I ask is because after the last meeting, within that week, I heard from 2 other people where the location was, and it just felt kind of weird.
yeah. Well, it's some people know, and you know, there's only one way to keep a secret, and that's only if one person knows it, right? And there are other people in town that know it. So I didn't want to share it, but obviously other people are sharing it. So
Is it near the softball? There's a softball field near the center of aging, and where's this field?
you know
Where's
where
this
the you know
section?
where you know where the tent was last year, Mitch? The big white tent.
I think so.
Right
I
there.
remember seeing it.
I
but-
got this one. So Mitch, you know, when you're pulling into the Thurston Middle School, on your right is like there used to be horseshoe pits and stuff there. It's right there. It's right
Yeah,
there.
with
It's
the
gonna.
Oh.
It's
Near where they
so-
have the batting cages.
Behind
Yeah,
the
they had
batting
the batting
cage,
cages, but it would be to the right towards the senior center, away from the batting cages.
I get, thank you.
Yeah. And I also want to add that Mitch is not doing this from a construction standpoint. You know, it's like he's managing, you know, again, all the relationships with the. I'm sorry, I said Mitch, I meant Rich.
Yeah, I was
Okay,
wondering.
so Rich, I
Mitch
do it
doesn't
all
know
the
where it is,
time.
but he's
I'm-
managing it.
Well, this is it. I'm having a senior moment. So in any event, so he's working obviously closely with, I don't know if it's Brendan or Todd from the Public Works Department, that the person that they're working with has done other work around here, and he's one of the, you know, people that companies that the town does a lot of work with as well. So it is, you know, it's not just the rec department looking at having this stuff building. We have the support of you know, of Todd Kircher and Brendan Ryan to help us out.
And so this would get the estimate, go to procurement, it would get budgeted. Budget would have to be approved. Then we could go out to bid.
And the budget has to be approved at town meeting, right?
No, it would be if I was asking for capital funds, but I believe we have the money in the revolving fund to use.
Oh, good.
Is there an
Otherwise,
anticipated,
we'd have to wait a full year.
Rich, if this does go forward as planned, is there an anticipated date where the construction would be done and finished?
I don't have that right now, Mitch, but I'm still shooting for this year.
Good.
Some point in this year. I'll have better clarity once I can, there's a few hurdles that need to be,
Yeah.
you know, removed, but once we get there, once we get out to bid, I'll have a better idea. So
Yeah, that'll be exciting. I mean, there's towns that do round robin, like open court play time. You sign up for a session and you just go and play and in and out, and that it'll be really good to have dedicated courts where we can
right.
run a whole bunch of lessons and free, you know, play and whatnot.
Mhm.
All right, it's getting close to Celtics. Off, so
Well, I'll just give the last
Tennis
bullet
courts.
point is really quick. So as I've been forecasting for a while now, we're going to have the tennis courts at the high school resurfaced, and I have a date. And right now we're shooting for June 13th, which is a Monday, to start the work. The courts will be closed for a week. Yeah, so that's where we are with that, and we'll have fresh new courts for the rest of the year and beyond. And we have a very good contractor. We've worked with them before. They've done Downey, they've done the basketball courts at Morrison recently, and they do terrific work. So we're looking forward to that.
Good.
Of course, that date could slide depending on how wet the weather gets, right? But
Mhm.
you know, right now we're targeting June 13th.
I'm not trying to be annoying by asking more questions. I'm sorry. I know
We
you
love
want-
questions, Katie. We love questions.
What
Please.
about the other courts? Like not thinking about Sheehan, but like even the courts over at Downey. Would those ever get resurfaced?
They were resurfaced like 3 years ago, I want to say. I'd have maybe 4.
Really? They're already all cracked.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to stop that. You can only cover them up, but every couple of years, those courts are pretty old.
So there would be plans to resurface them, just not this year.
That's right. Yeah, we'll keep maintaining them, but probably on a 5-year cycle, or as needed. I mean, but certainly not sooner than that. I mean, it costs it's going to cost to get the high school ones done, all 6 courts, almost $70,000. So
Rich, the Islington rumor was that's where the new pickleball courts were going. And everyone was trying to shift people to the Downey side of for pickleball.
Well, there are painted lines down
Right.
Downey, and there's nets in the recreation department, so people could be playing there now.
Right.
That doesn't, yeah, doesn't seem like they are, but.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, other items not reasonably anticipated, hopefully no.
No.
survey says.
All right. How is the 20th for the next meeting? Does that work for everyone's calendar? Remember, if you're not there, you might get voted in, so. You might wanna
You're the
make
new
sure-
president.
Mandatory meeting.
If
Yeah.
I just wonder, so there's no school on the 20th because of Juneteenth? Is that
Oh, it is Juneteenth, right? We might want to do it a different day. Well,
I'm
I
just
mean,
only because I have the school calendar out and I mapped out my life. And
yeah, I might have the
last
day
day of
off
school is
too.
22nd because there's no school on the 20th because of Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Can
We
you
do the
guys do it
27th?
Tuesday? Or
Or
rather,
Tuesday, yeah. Tuesday or the 27th.
Tuesdays work for me. That's fine. I probably will have the 20th off now too, that you said that. They always give it to us at the last minute.
27th will be the first day of camp and.
yeah, we don't want to do
rest
the
of you.
27th.
So
Thank you, Paul.
21st?
Yeah.
21st is great.
Okay.
21st work for people? Works for me. It's
Works for
fine.
me.
Yes.
Good call, Teresa.
Yeah. And one other just programming note. So next meeting, we'll do over Zoom again. We don't do a July meeting traditionally unless there's an urgent need to do so. August, as of right now, they have not extended the Zoom exception for public meetings. So unless something gets extended or changes, August, we will be required to meet in person.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute, let me put it back on mute.
That's hilarious. So, I just want to put that out there for people to absorb. So, we're a few months away from that, and things could change. They could extend it, but as of right now, they haven't.
We could book a bigger room if we had to. If people felt more comfortable with masks, we could do that, right?
Yep, sure.
I mean, I already went to a big meeting in the office and got COVID, so I'm like, I'm probably still good in August. I don't know.
We could meet outdoors at Bubbling Brook, have ice cream and sit on the picnic table.
Yes.
That'll work.
I'll bring
Good
the
idea, Mitch.
deep woods off.
Mitch,
Yeah,
you're the idea man. We like
I
that.
love Bubbling Brook.
And who knows, we might get a ton of participation too.
Mm. Yeah, we probably would.
All right, very good.
All right, thanks, everybody. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, we got to vote to adjourn, Ann.
We do have to, okay, I will make the motion to adjourn. Does someone want to second it?
Second.
Teresa seconds it. I'm in favor. Joyce?
Vin,
Teresa, you in favor? Katie, you in favor?
Yes.
Paul, you in favor?
Yes.
And Mitch, you in favor of adjourning?
Yes.
All right, all in favor? The meeting is adjourned at 8:34 PM.